Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there are 4 rounds remaining in the AFL Premiership season, and it is coming down to the nitty-gritty, and especially at the top end, every game is an 8-pointer. Some of the top teams are coming out of the form. There's teams trying to rush into the top 8. So I thought, let's have a look into the rest of the season. I'm going to try and predict the rest of the season and see where the ladder ends up heading into finals. Comment down below your predictions for the rest of the season. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you're new. Let's get into this predictor. So one of those teams on the rise is the Western Bulldogs, a team that started the season really slow. Beveridge's job was, pondered at points this season, but they have absolutely belted some teams this year. They just had a massive upset win over the Swans this round. They smashed my boys Freo, who have, they're third on the ladder at the moment. So they do have the caliber. They beat Geelong at the Cattery. They are flying home at Marvel against Melbourne, who have been struggling in recent times. I expect the Dogs to win this, although they've been quite inconsistent. So we don't know what Dogs are going to show up. They've won the premiership from deep in the 8 before. Could they do it again? Let's find out. I think the Dogs should win that one by 26. West Coast v Gold Coast at Perth. Gold Coast haven't won a single game away, and West Coast are actually looking decent. Do Gold Coast get up for that one? That's going to be a toughie. I reckon West Coast might nab that, to be honest. Bit of an irrelevant one in the context of the season. I'll go West Coast win by a couple goals. North v Richmond. North have played a really good couple months of footy without getting the results that they've been looking for. Richmond have been the most underwhelming team of the year. They sit bottom of the ladder. I reckon North win this one at Marvel by a comfortable 26 points. Geelong v Crows at Cardinia Park. The Crows have finished this season pretty strong, although they did lose today to Hawthorn. They got that upset win over Essendon. They've beaten GWS, so they have sort of finished the year better than they started it, I reckon. But the Cats had a big win against North down in Tassie. I reckon they win this one against the Crows next week. Let's go by 5 goals. Collingwood v Carlton. Carlton have been not at their best, but the best teams really get going in August. So I reckon we see Carlton fire up now. I would love to see Collingwood win this game because obviously it has ramifications on Freo's season, but I reckon Carlton will finally get one back over the Pies. So let's say Carlton win this one in a tight one, but a comfortable sort of goal and a half. Now, this one is interesting. Port Adelaide just had a massive win away from home against the Blues. And I reckon they're sick of pretending at this point in the season. Sydney have not been in good form the last 6 weeks of footy. They've been dropping a lot of games. Dropped another one today to the Bulldogs. And that was the most convincing loss they've had all season. You'd like to think they could bounce back, but I could see this one being an upset. Port have been playing pretty well. They've won 4 out of their last 5, I believe. And Sydney have probably lost, 3 out of their last 5. Bit of an upset. Sydney are pretty comfortable on top, but I'm going to tip Port. I know this one might be a bit controversial, but there's going to be some crazy results. GWS versus Hawthorn up at GWS. Hawthorn, the hottest team in footy right now. At this point, it would be 8th v 9th. I don't understand GWS because I think they have all the tools to be a premiership side. I don't think there's any reason that they should not be at least in the top 4. Their early season form was magnificent, but the Hawks have been the best team for the past sort of couple months. You look at the body of work that they've done, only losing to, I think, Port, where they agonizingly lost with that last second goal, and then down at the Cattery. They've put in a great body of work. They're playing really good footy at the moment. It'd be hard to tip against them, but my head says GWS. Just a bit more maturity, I suppose. I'll be keeping a close eye on this game because we still have to play the Giants. But I reckon the Giants win this one in a close one. Essendon versus Fremantle at the MCG. I'll be going to this game. Essendon have had the most Essendon end to a season you could ever imagine. Just absolutely bottling it. Their percentage is horrible. And the Dockers, we're playing some really good footy at the moment. It gives us a great opportunity to play at the MCG, a ground that we play well at. I think we've only played one game there this year against Richmond. I'm on my 54 points. We're a confident side at the MCG. We're playing confident footy at the moment. I reckon Essendon are feeling anxious. They're feeling the pressure, and they are cracking a little bit. We're quite a cohesive unit at the moment. I reckon the Dockers win this one by Let's go 3.5 goals. St Kilda v Brisbane. Again, St Kilda have come into some great form to finish the season. Ross Lyon said he wants to ruin a couple of parties coming into the end of the year. Brisbane just getting past Gold Coast the other night. I reckon Saints are playing some really good footy at the moment. And this one is going to be a tough one to tip. Has massive ramifications. The Lions missing Harris Andrews. I'm not sure how long he's out for. I think it's a concussion, so he should be back. On paper, the Lions should win. My head's telling me St Kilda, though. I am going to err on the side of Brisbane are a better side and get not a comfortable, but a close win. Sydney versus Collingwood at the SCG. We'll start rolling through these a bit quicker now. Sydney are the better side. Collingwood struggling a fair bit. Let's go Sydney by 28. Brisbane versus GWS at the Gabba. I expect Brisbane to win that. It could be a bit of a... probably be a bit more comfortable. Let's go 4 goals. North v West Coast. North win that. To get 2 wins in a row. Look at them climbing, North. Perth v Geelong at Optus. So at this point in the season, it would be... Fremantle in 3rd versus Geelong in 5th. Both on 13 wins. Freo with that draw to keep them 2 points ahead. Freo should win this. I think our midfield would be a bit more dominant. The clearance dominant. The speed that we're bringing outside of contests has been phenomenal. And yeah, I think Freo win that one. I'm happy for that one. And I'll be back in Perth for that game as well. So let's say the Dockers win by a nice 25 points there. Essendon v Gold Coast. Essendon have got to win at some point. It's probably going to be against Gold Coast at home. Essendon get up by 13 points. Melbourne v Port. Now, this is a tough one because a lot can change in 2 weeks of footy. Port could be coming off a win against Carlton and Sydney, heading into the MCG, hungry for finals. And Melbourne don't really have much to play for, although they are playing all right. Obviously, Freo pumped them, but... They're fighting in games. They're hunting. They're cracking in. Because I tipped Port against Sydney, I'm just going to say they get a loss in one of those two. So I'm going to back the D's to win in a tight one. Carlton versus Hawthorn. Massive game. I think right now Hawthorn are playing more consistent four-quarter footy. They just beat Collingwood a couple of weeks back at the G and they styled on them. They've just pumped the Crows. They travel up to GWS next week. This is going to be a tight game. For sure. This is tough. Could be a draw. Just because it has more ramifications on the top of the ladder, I think they probably are just a little bit better at this moment in time. I'm going to pick the Blues to win in a close game by 8 points. Richmond versus St Kilda. I think St Kilda are playing really good footy. As I said, they win that one comfortably by 6 goals. Crows v Dogs at Adelaide Oval. The Dogs, I feel like in previous times have had a lot of success at Adelaide Oval. Obviously just got pumped there a couple of weeks ago by Port. Do the Crows stop the rampant Bulldogs? Nah, I reckon the Bulldogs storm home. I reckon they win that one. The Crows didn't look too good today, so the Dogs get one and they jump up into 5th. Jesus Christ, they're coming home strong. Essendon versus Sydney. I don't see Essendon beating Sydney. Come on now, let's be real. Although crazier things have happened, Sydney aren't in good form, but neither are Essendon. I will go with the consensus and say that Sydney win by 32 probably. Gold Coast v the D's up in Gold Coast. This game just screams moist conditions. Melbourne can't get their hand on the ball. Noah Anderson and Matt Rao cracking in, and the Suns winning by like an annoying 17 points for the D's. GWS versus Freo. Now, this is away for Freo. Out of the 4 games that we have left, I think this is our toughest one. And as much as I think we can beat our last 4, which is Essendon, Geelong, GWS, and Port Adelaide, I don't think we will win all of them. Even though I think we're better than all of those teams. I expect us to drop at least 1. So for that reason, I'm going to tip GWS to beat the Dockers. Because I think we're going to drop 1. Even though I'd back us to win it. Collingwood won this reverse fixture earlier in the season. And obviously, this is the grand final replay at the G. So it's massive. Do Collingwood get up for one? They just... I feel like I've tipped Brisbane a lot already. And they've had a couple of tough games. I'm going to give the Brisbane Lions a loss here. Collingwood played some pretty good footy today. Let's go the Pies winning in a close one. Let's go by 5 points just to spice it up a little bit. St Kilda versus Geelong at Docklands. Ooh, the Saints, they're looking pretty good. Geelong, could they get humming? Like, how good of form are St Kilda going to finish the season out in? I feel like they're pretty solid against the Cats at Marvel, though. I reckon Geelong win that. Probably. Let's go Geelong by 9 points. In the showdown, Port v Crows. I reckon Port won't have what happened earlier in the year. They need a win. They've got more riding on the season. I reckon Port win that, and it could be a bit of a pumping. Let's go Port by about 34 points. All right, the Dogs v North. The Dogs should win that by, let's go 6 goals. God, that puts the Dogs into the top 4. Massive. Hawthorn versus Richmond at the G. Let's go Hawks winning. That's got to be a pumping. 44 points. West Coast v Carlton. Carlton are going to pump them. 7 goals. Oh, that's a big win. Sends Carlton back up into second. The Lions get a big win against Essendon in the last game of the season to put the nail in the Dons' coffin. That puts Brisbane up into second. Carlton v St Kilda at Marvel. Carlton. Oh, that's a tricky one. The Saints lose the previous week. Yeah, I reckon Carlton win that. Just too strong. Just a bit too strong in the midfield. Carlton win by 3 goals. Geelong versus... Oh, that's going to be an absolute pumping. Hawthorn v North. Again, probably a comfortable win for Hawthorn. Still not in the 8, Hawthorn. Melbourne v Collingwood at the G. I reckon Melbourne get one back over Collingwood. They've been unlucky a couple times over the years against the Pies. I do think they're a good side. This is 11th versus 12th, and I reckon the D's get a win there. Richmond v Gold Coast at the G. Do Richmond close the season out in style? They might get a late season. This has no ramifications on the ladder anyway. Season's done for Gold Coast. Let's go the Tigers getting a win late in the season. Sydney v Crows. Sydney are going to win that one late in the season to hold on to top spot. And then we've got the Dogs versus GWS at Eureka. Eureka Mars? I'm not sure what stadium that is, but I feel like that fixture has been played there before. This is a big game. So this is going to decide who goes up into 5th or 6th position. I've tipped the Dogs a lot. So for that point, I'm going to just go the upset here. Just because I think there's going to be some more upsets that we don't foresee. And I don't necessarily think the Giants are going to win this game. But I've tipped against them in a lot of 50-50s. And I've backed the Dogs a lot as well. So I'm going to go the Giants, get a win there. And then I can't not tip Freo in the last game of the season. So I reckon the Dockers win by... What do we beat Port by? Like 3 goals. All right. There we go. So in first place, we have the Swans. I think that will happen. Carlton are probably tipped a bit generously based on earlier season form, but I do expect them to finish the season strong. So they finish in 2nd with Brisbane in 3rd. Freo finish in 4th. Freo really need to win all our games if we want to have that home final. Geelong in 5th. Giants in 6th. Dogs in 7th, Port in 8th, Hawthorn, Melbourne, Essendon missing out, and then you've got the rest of the clubs that have had stinky years from there to the bottom, with Richmond winning the spoon and getting the first pick in next year's draft. We might as well quickly run through finals here. So I reckon Sydney v Freo. I reckon Freo win that, obviously. Geelong v Port Adelaide. That could be at GMHBA. Which Port won earlier in the year. I think Geelong maybe win that. Eliminate Port. Oh, that's stiff. That's hard. We'll do a finals prediction later on in the season, so don't take this one to heart too much. Giants v Dogs. I reckon the Giants have just been a better side for the most part of the season. Get a dub there. Carlton v Brisbane at the G. I could just see Carlton winning that. Sydney v Geelong. Sydney win that at the SCG, which sends them into the prelim against Carlton. And Brisbane v Giants at the Gabba. I'm going to go Brisbane win, which sends the Dockers to play Brisbane. I reckon the Dockers win that. I reckon Carlton beats Sydney because I want to play Carlton in a grand final and beat them. Oh, that is my dream. That is my dream end to the season. The Dockers beating the Blues in a grand final. don't take the finals part too seriously. We will do a finals prediction later on in the season once we've got more form and data to go off. But I think that general ladder will be around about that. Not outlandish predictions, but not too much is going to change in the last month of the season. Get down below what you guys will think for the rest of the season and where you think each side will finish. Hop on Squiggle, do a predictor and come back. Comment down below what you got. I appreciate you watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care. You plonkers.